Love how it leans in the corners, little slide. That's exciting. Look at that little power slide action. Rear end's a little loose. Oh, this is fun to drive. Check this out, guys. We've got the new Mini Max Slash, and this one looks super exciting. It hits 30 miles an hour. It's four-wheel drive. It's ready to run, and it looks like it's gonna be a blast. Let's take a closer look. Here it is, RC drivers, the Mini Slash 4x4, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I think it actually looks a bit more like a Mini Max Slash to me. Look at the style of the headlights, and it's got the roof skids here, these side plates, the style of the wheel, the front fender. Well, maybe the rear fender looks like a Slash 4x4. Nonetheless, I guess it's kind of a hybrid, and it looks pretty awesome. What's really cool is it's available in 4 different colors. Love the yellow, but the pink is hot too. Let me know what you like in the comment section below, and let me know what you think it looks more like, the Max Slash or actually a Slash 4x4. Now let's start looking at some of the other details. I do like the style of graphics on here. Not over the top, pretty simplified for Traxxas. These side panels here are actually part of the inner body mounting system and the interior. So the interior on this is molded, and there's a couple good reasons for that. It helps provide an inner structure for when you're bashing so it doesn't crush the body. They've also opened up some areas inside, so it acts as vents for the speed controller and the motor. There's a little ducting over to the motor. There's some more detail with the driver. The head is actually screwed down, so if you want to throw like a servo in there so his head moves around, I guess you could go ahead and do that. Decals on the dashboard, and then if you swing it around, you can see it's got that short course look to it, and it looks kind of plain in the back actually, and I found a decal sheet inside the support bag. You can throw a bunch of decals on there. I bet you it's going to make it look a lot better. Here's the rear bumper, and this is something I'm a little concerned about. Looks like there's a lot of flex back here, so if you cartwheel this thing, it might push up against the body and maybe crack these edges here. I wish they just had some sort of support down here to the bottom, kind of like a Slash 4x4 does. And then this front bumper, they've actually redesigned this from what I've been told. It used to sit behind the body, and then they pushed it forward 3 millimeters so the body would stop tucking behind it. So I guess that was a good last minute mod there. As you can see, no body clips. They've got these 4 little tabs on the bottom. You push those in and the body will pop right up. And there's a look at that inner structure below. Looks pretty solid. There's even a little foam block there where it pushes up against the receiver cover. And now we can take a look at the Mini Slash 4x4 platform, and it's got to look pretty familiar, right? It looks kind of like a Mini Max or a Mini XRT, and they used a lot of the design elements. However, this chassis is specific to the Mini Slash 4x4. It's a little bit longer, and you can notice it right here between the motor and speed controller. On the Mini Max, it's right up against the speed controller, so we've got this extra space here, and over here on the battery mount side, you can see this extra bracing, extra webbing. Speaking of webbing, they've got the honeycomb down on the bottom, so pretty rigid structure. And then you can see it doesn't drop down in the front and rear like the Mini XRT does. It's a bit more flat down here, flat skids, just a little bump in them, but it's got that same styling of the Mini Max. And that goes for the shock towers as well. They are different though. They're a bit lower because we've got a lower shock. Still has a similar steering setup with the twin bell crank and the servo mounted up top with the servo saver built in. Here is your receiver cover. This isn't waterproof, just FYI. There's just a cover to hold everything down, make everything look pretty, give it some dust protection. And then here is the battery mounting area. And what's pretty cool is they have this little spacer clip that goes on the battery strap, and you can pop this off if you want to go throw some bigger battery packs in. So pretty stout setup here. And let's start looking at the suspension. So again, it's very Mini Max-like. There's shorter arms on this to bring it into the short course proportions, and then they have these smaller, almost touring car-like shocks on it. Shock damping feels a little soft right out of the box. They do give you some extra preload clips, so if you need to go ahead and adjust your preload on the springs, raise up the chassis a little bit, you'll be able to do that. And then the outer steering knuckles and caster blocks, those are pulled from the Mini Max. They still have the screw style hinge pins, and then in the rear, pretty similar setup as far as the arms go. The big change is the hub carriers on the outside. And it looks like we've got some pretty decent travel here for a mini short course truck. I don't think you're gonna be able to go over some gnarly rough terrain like on a construction site or anything like that, but for flat roads and dirt lots and stuff like that, this is gonna be, I think, just right. Now let's get into the drivetrain. So it has their front and rear differential from the Mini
Mini Max. So that's a planetary style differential. However, a change was made to the ring and pinion. The tooth count has changed, so the rollout, because of smaller tires, allows this car to hit the 30 plus miles an hour. So just a little thing to throw out at you guys. If you want to get a little bit more out of your Mini Max, Mini XRT, you might want to think about throwing this ring and pinion gear in there, but you're definitely going to want to watch your temperatures with that. No center diff, no slipper clutch. It's just the fixed spur gear. It's got a keyed setup to it, and then it's got a longer drive shaft to accommodate that longer chassis. They're swinging a pretty big pinion gear on this, a 19 tooth. And again, that's going to allow this car to hit 30 plus miles an hour. Rounding out the drivetrain is, of course, the slider drive shafts, the shorter versions of the slider drive shafts that we've seen from Traxxas before, and they've got full sealed ball bearings throughout the drive line. Wheels and tires, this is where things get interesting. So it's a short course style setup, obviously. They've got licensing from BF Goodrich, kind of looks like a KO2 tire, and the compound for this rubber is actually like an intermediate compound for Traxxas between their standard and their S1, so we've got some grip to it. It's the same compound front and rear, and there's no foam inserts on the inside of this. They actually have this parallel ribbing style setup, and it offers the support on the inside. So it actually feels pretty consistent throughout, a little bit harder on this edge just because of the thin sidewall. As you can see, the wheel now has a really large inner diameter to it, and that's for clearance over these Mini Max style steering knuckles and caster blocks. And then on the outside, the styling of the wheel, again, looks like Max Slash to me. But the tire actually feels pretty well supported without that inner insert. And what the other nice thing about no foam insert is if you do get water inside, it's not going to deteriorate. So I like this setup. I'm pretty interested to see how well they grip. Let's talk electronics now. It has a Traxxas BL2S brushless system in it. 3300 kV mounted to this composite motor plate assembly. This is actually part of the gear cover as well. Kind of just wish it had a metal motor plate here, but this BL2S system does have a cooling fan inside of it. Here is your ID plug attached to the BL2S speed controller setup. Again, this just runs 2S battery packs, not 3S. You're gonna need to upgrade to the VXL system for that, and you might want to do some drivetrain upgrades if you do go through a 3S system in here. Up front is the 2056 standard servo. This is a plastic geared servo, really basic from Traxxas, and it's got the TQ receiver under this cover here. Rounding out the electronics, we've got the TQ radio system, 2.4 gig. It comes with a 3500 2S battery pack. Here is the charger for it. You're going to need a USB-C plug to go and power this up. There's those shock preload clips I mentioned before, the decals, your instruction sheet, and some basic tools.
I think we should start off with a speed test with this on RC Drivers. I've got a nice fresh truck, fully charged battery pack. I got the GNSS tucked away under the front of the body. It's already fired up, 12 satellites. Let's get this thing rolling. I can't wait to see it drive. All right, here we go. Whoa, we got some throttle off the line on that one. Let me just trim it out. It's pretty close out of the box. There we go. Yeah, this is very first run. Nothing settled in the driveline yet, but we're gonna see how fast it goes. All right, rolling into it. Got some motor here. That's a pretty good speed. 2S system, yeah. I think that's on par with what we need. Let's see what we got. It is 30 miles an hour, nice. This is where we're gonna have some fun, RC Drivers, the dirt lot. We're already kicking up dust. It's a windy day out. I apologize if it's blowing out the microphone, but I gotta drive this thing. I'm not waiting for a nice day. Look at that little power slide action. Rear end's a little loose. Oh, this is fun to drive. Little counter steer. Oh, guys, look at that. That's what I really love about just bashing a short course truck. Those big power slide turns. Oh, hit a little rut there. But it's handling this stuff pretty good. I mean, I've got these bumps over here to contend with, but just power through those going straight. Actually, I hit that rut sideways over there. So yeah, we got some pretty good handling right out of the box. Just a little loose in the rear. I mean, I'm just blasting on the throttle right now. Just getting a feel for what this truck could do. Showing you guys what this truck could do. But yeah, you roll off in the corners and you get that smooth power slide. Oh, love it. So let's see how it does on the asphalt. I know there's going to be some parking lot racing with these things. I bet you hobby shops will set up some cones and stuff for drivers. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun on asphalt. A little bit of slide in the rear. Always makes things fun. Steers pretty well too. Got a little sideways coming out on the power. but it just straightened right out. This is a good truck. A little slide in the corner. Yeah, we got full range of excitement on this one, guys. All right, tires are breaking in a little bit. Oh, and we got a traction roll. So it will traction roll. It'd be really cool is if, like, you know, hobby shop set up some parking lot racing, throw some small jumps out there, kind of like when you see those videos of the full-scale Traxxas trucks driving on the road courses. That would be sick with these little trucks. Of course, brought the plastic bike ramp with me so we could jump this thing. Look at that, guys. Nice. That flies through the air perfectly. Had to switch up locations. All the rocks over there were really messing with it. So we get some more airtime in over here. Seems a little smoother. Yeah, I can definitely drive over here now. All right, here we go. Ready? Launch it. Oh, that was a major hit. So that was a really hard hit, guys. And I kind of crinkled up the fender over here, and it's pushing up on the body a little bit. So it seems to fit back in there. Might just have to bend this back out a little. Straighten it out myself. There we go. I think this body actually might start flipping up over the front. Let's see the back. Back seems to be fine so far, just a little bend there. That's what I was really worried about. All right, back for some more air time. Repositioning these jumps. And I don't know where you could get these. I always have people asking. I got those probably 20 years ago, guys, from Toys R Us. I don't know who sells them anymore. All right, let's get into this. There we go. So this thing does fly nice. If you got some nice low jumps for parking lot racing, some smooth dirt transitions, this is gonna be good. Yeah. Pretty controllable too. I mean, I've saved a number of crashes so far. Little power slide at the end, that was cool. It's handling this rough stuff really good over here. Plenty of steering. Let's roll back on the corners, you should be good. See? Little chassis roll, I mean, but we've got an off-road truck on asphalt.
From the minute I pulled the Mini Slash 4x4 out of the box, I thought, tank. This thing is built solid, and it feels solid when you're out there driving it. Had an absolute blast with it. Just soaring this thing off the jumps nice and level. I couldn't get enough of it. And then it's got plenty of steering. I think these tires have lots of traction. Handles pretty well too. I would say add another preload spacer into the shock just to raise it up a little bit after it settles in. But wow, this thing was killer. The power slides with this, I mean, I could have done that all day. Now, the only little issue I had with this truck was the body. So I did manage to do a couple cartwheels off of the jumps, and it creased the front of the body to the point where it's kind of lifting up in the front. I wish Traxxas had put their body mounting system in the fender wells so we could just, you know, have clips on the inside and it would have offered that front body support for it. I think with the body support being here, it just allows that front end to just lift up. But the rear of it actually seems pretty fine. Just a couple small cracks in the corner, and that's it really. No overheating issues. This truck is a blast. If you gotta have a mini short course truck, you love the Slash 4x4, this one isn't gonna disappoint. Definitely hit up your local hobby shop to grab one, or I'll have links in the video description below.